today. They say it's peace, but the pockets still cry. Yes, the leaders are smiling, the streets are complaining, and the price of bread just flew away. Hey, hey, wake up, Zimbabwe.
Good morning, Zimbabwe, and welcome to Zimwaves TV, the only news channel where the truth comes dressed in sarcasm, wrapped in common sense, and delivered with more accuracy than a ZANU PF slogan rehearsal. And today, oh yes, the ruling party has woken up and chosen violence, literally. And for travelers in South Africa who would like to avoid confiscation of their groceries by ZIMRA, stay tuned because we have a special for you. Let's begin with the ZANU PF's violence. Because in Zimbabwe, in case you thought politics was about ideas, policies, or the constitution, ZANU PF's Youth League Secretary General Chiwetu has reminded the nation that resolution number 1, the one demanding everyone accept Mnangagwa's 2030 extension, is not a suggestion, not a prayer point, not even a church hymn. It is a threat, a warning, a political adjust your mind or we will adjust it for you. You oppose the 2030 project? Congratulations, you are now a certified enemy of progress, or whatever they are calling it this week. Let's hear him saying it.
Magati tira varume vanogona kuomeretaka nakomwe Tagwirei nemaonero atinoita Harare will never be the same again. Pasine Mandi, I thank you.
And while we are still on political comedy, millionaire donor-in-chief Cde Tagwirei is now being called Cde Nhamoyapera in Harare. Yes, you heard right. Harare actually composed a whole song praising him because when a nation is economically collapsing, people don't care about who destroys it. They care about who gives them a packet of groceries, a funeral policy, or a branded t-shirt. Governance, rights, development, those things do not trend on TikTok, but free food does. But to prove he is still a loyal lapdog in excellent standing with the owner of the kennel, Cde Nhamoyapera rejected the song, saying that all praise must go to the one and only President Mnangagwa. Don't praise me, he said. I am just the messenger. Yes, a messenger who arrives with gifts but leaves citizens poorer. Meaning the president enjoys the worship while the nation suffers the hunger. Classic arrangement. Before you blink, here comes your first cliffhanger. If Zimbabweans can sing for groceries today, what will they sing for in 2028 when the 2030 takeover officially means public approval? Hold your thought. But let's jump to our next political plot twist. A leaked letter to ZACC accusing High Court Judge Justice Munangati-Manongwa and Advocate Thabani Mpofu of conflict of interest. According to an anonymous whistleblower, our justice system is starting to look like a village where cousins give each other business and neighbors pretend not to notice as long as the cooking pots keep boiling. ZACC has the letter. They say they will investigate. And if you believe that, you probably also believe Zupco buses actually work. Meanwhile, in ZANU PF's SECA's tent, a new performer has joined. Former MDC heavyweight Blessing Chebundo, who now claims that the late Morgan Tagwirei was about to join ZANU PF before he died. Classic. Really? After decades of being beaten, arrested, tortured, and humiliated, suddenly he wanted to join the same system. That story makes as much sense as a crocodile claiming it is vegan. But in ZANU PF's world, reality bends to the slogan. Which brings us to the defection parade, a long list of former opposition figures now lining up like school children for porridge. Tagwirei, Gandhi Mudzingwa, men who once survived abductions are now waving flags for the same hand that slapped them. As one analyst said, this is not regeneration, it's recruitment by checkbook. Remember, these people were brutalized by ZANU PF. They were beaten, threatened, and now all of a sudden, without any apology from ZANU PF, without any reconciliation being done, suddenly they are joining ZANU PF. And judging by the enthusiasm, that checkbook that they were given must have had enough zeros to buy loyalty, dignity, and a funeral policy all at once. Now, brace yourself for the second cliffhanger. If the opposition is collapsing by defection, why is ZANU PF still threatening violence against citizens instead of celebrating? Something does not add up, and we will revisit that. Let's turn to corruption. ZACC and ZIMRA have recovered over 500 vehicles from the abuse of the Civil Servants Motor Vehicle Rebate Scheme. For years, dealers were importing cars duty-free using civil servants' names, flipping them for profit and leaving the nation poorer. Now, the crackdown begins. But the question remains, who signed off these schemes? Who benefited? Who covered it up? Thousands of cases, but only a few people being chased. Zimbabwe's corruption fight always feels like arresting mosquitoes while leaving the swamp untouched. Meanwhile, Harare Mayor Jacob Mafume admits the city is losing millions of dollars every day through corruption. Parking fines vanish, bills are adjusted, and leakages flow faster than water from a burst Harare pipe. The city wants to automate everything. No human contact, no bribes, no backdoor deals. Wonderful idea. But knowing Harare, by the time they reach 100% digital, the city might have collapsed to 100% dust. And if communities being displaced by minors wasn't enough evidence that the rule of law is now optional, let's head to Matebeleland South, where Zimbabweans coming home from Beitbridge after completing all immigration and customs requirements are being stopped again on the Gwanda highway by ZIMRA and ZACC officers who behave like every returning citizen owes them a personal donation. People finish the official process at the border, they pay what needs to be paid, they declare what needs to be declared, and just when they think the ordeal is over, another checkpoint suddenly appears like a pop-up advert no one asked for. Officers begin searching, demanding, threatening, and finding problems that do not exist unless a bribe magically solves them. This behavior has now become an unofficial revenue stream, a roadside fundraising gala, a corruption target where receipts come in the form of threats and handshakes. This issue was discussed in the Senate, and a senator put it perfectly. These roadblocks have not only created corruption opportunities for ZIMRA and ZACC officers, they have also created robbery opportunities for thugs. When criminals realize the police themselves are detaining cars, searching bags, and extorting travelers, what do you think criminals will do? They copy the uniformed version and simply remove the uniform. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear what the senator said.
I think Honorable Senator Mlochwa has got a note.
Thank you, Mr. President, for allowing me to say my point of national interest. Mr. President, my point of national interest stems from ZIMRA's new Gwanda roadblock station, which is to me an unjustified national burden. Mr. President, I rise on a point of national interest regarding the matter that is frustrating thousands of citizens daily and undermining the ease of doing business in our country. Zimbabwe Revenue Authority ZIMRA has quietly established an additional inlet checkpoint in Gwanda, where every single vehicle coming from Johannesburg is stopped, sometimes for hours and hours on end. This has become a second border post, yet ZIMRA already has full authority, equipment and manpower at Beitbridge border post, our official port of entry. Mr. President, this raises several concerns. One, duplication of roles. ZIMRA must conduct thorough checks at the border. Creating a second checkpoint inside the country is unnecessary and burdensome. Two, economic disruption. Travelers, business people, cross-border traders, and even ordinary families are losing hours on the road due to a system that seems designed to delay rather than facilitate movement. Safety and humanitarian concerns. Vehicles queuing for long periods in remote areas, including at night, exposes citizens to danger, robberies, and discomfort, especially women, children, the elderly, and persons with disabilities. Lack of transparency. There is no clear communication to the public regarding the legal basis and purpose or Mr. President, contradiction to the national policy, Zimbabwe says it is improving the ease of doing business, modernizing borders and reducing bottlenecks, yet the lived experience on the ground tells a different story. Mr. President, as Parliament, we cannot allow a situation where citizens are cleared at Beitbridge only to be re-cleared again in Gwanda. This is inefficient, costly, and unnecessary. I therefore call the Minister of Finance and Commissioner General of ZIMRA to explain to this House what is the purpose of this inland checkpoint, why are travelers being delayed for hours, why is this not done at the border where it belongs? Does ZIMRA have the authority to effectively establish an unofficial second border post within the country? Mr. President, the people of Zimbabwe deserve efficient systems. ZIMRA must do its job thoroughly at the border, not create a parallel structure that punishes our citizens. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable.
Zimbabwe is now a place where being robbed by criminals and being robbed by the state feels exactly the same. The only difference is that one group wears reflective vests. And to help travelers avoid incoming cash cows for roadside funding, here is a Zimwaves public service announcement. Because ZIMRA officers love targeting groceries that you are not allowed to bring duty-free, you have a grocery allowance of $200 that covers most of your personal items. But here is a list corrupt officers jump on first, because these groceries are not covered in the $200 allowance. And if you are confused how much is $200, that's between 3,400 rands to 4,000 rands depending on the exchange rate. The groceries that are not covered by your duty-free allowances include flour, maize meal, sugar, meat, fish, powdered milk, yogurt, cheese, eggs, corn puffs, jam, honey, cooking oil, and of course anything else they can pretend is restricted if you look too tired to argue. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you are traveling, avoid packing these, or prepare to donate them to the nearest reflective vest. Groceries are cheap in Zimbabwe, so if you want to carry groceries to your loved ones, do your grocery shopping in Zimbabwe when you arrive. And remember, if you have to carry these groceries, declare them properly at the border. After your immigration procedures, pick up a blue form, fill it in, present it to the customs officer, and declare everything honestly. That might save you when you get to these vouchers. Now, let's pause for cliffhanger number 3. If crooks can impersonate corrupt officers with ease, what happens when the day citizens stop trusting any checkpoint at all? In business news, OK Zimbabwe has closed 11 stores to stop bleeding money. 3 more are next. Liquidity is tight, suppliers want payment, and competition from informal traders selling foreign-produced goods, mostly from South Africa, is eating them alive. So, ladies and gentlemen, do you see the consequences of carrying groceries home? Retailers close, manufacturers scale down, and your relatives lose jobs. And our economy will continue to get into the doldrums and keep on being a supermarket for the foreigners. When one of the country's largest retailers begins shutting doors in double digits, you know the economy is not on an upward trajectory. It is being carried on a stretcher. And if OK closes, then Pick n Pay becomes the largest supermarket chain in Zimbabwe. And as we know, Pick n Pay gets its groceries from South African manufacturers mostly. Borodale residents have also declared war, this time on the United Methodist Church. They have filed a ZACC complaint accusing a city official of giving the church a permit in blatant defiance of a High Court ruling. Only in Zimbabwe do you see residents and church fighting over noise, traffic and fire safety while government pretends to be shocked that rules exist. Then across the ocean, President Donald Trump has signed a bill ordering the release of Jeffrey Epstein files. Yes, the files containing the deepest secrets of rich, powerful men who once pretended Epstein was just a friend with a private jet and a mysterious island. Whether the truth comes out or not, Trump is positioning it as a Democrat scandal, even though his own name is all over the estate's emails. Politics is a powerful sport. Back home in sports, and yes, sports, always the last. Zimbabwe's Chevron faced Sri Lanka today in a T20 tri-series match in Pakistan. Sri Lanka has beaten us 7-2 historically. Sean Williams is still out after admitting to drug addiction. But Brian Bennett's strong performance keeps hope alive. If we win, it's a miracle. If we lose, it's predictable. Either way, it's Zimbabwean cricket where expectation takes a smoke break while reality bows. If things go well, we might give you a live streaming of the scores. Speaking of smoking, President Mnangagwa has just commissioned a new tobacco processing plant and told the nation that smoking is safe. Safe, as if the entire global medical community does not exist. Only in Zimbabwe does a president support smoking while the rest of the world is banning vapes. You almost have to admire the creativity. Yes, we produce tobacco, but let's be honest about the effects of tobacco on the human body. And finally, the United Kingdom is now officially overtaking South Africa as Zimbabwe's biggest remittance source. Diaspora in the UK is now feeding more families than any policy passed in Harare. If there ever was proof that Zimbabweans abroad work harder than those governing at home, this is it. And this tilt has been enabled because of Zimbabweans that are moving from South Africa, going to other countries due to the hostile environment that they are facing in South Africa from Operation Dudula. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Zimbabwe, the theater where the actors pretend, the audience suffers, and the script refuses to end. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is your Zimwaves TV bulletin for this morning. Remember, we don't sugarcoat, we don't sanitize, we don't kneel for slogans. We simply report what others are scared to whisper. Before you go, hit subscribe, smash that like, and tell us in the comments, do you think Zimbabwe will survive the 2030 agenda? Yes or no, and tell us why. If you have been with us to the end, thank you.